here to see what's new in Solid Edge ST6. Solid Edge ST6 has been mailed to you by now. Many of you already have it sitting on your shelf or inside your computer and thinking, wow, this is going to be great, get to use it. Or you're thinking, wow, when can I go ahead and upgrade my ST5? I would say go ahead and do it now. Solid Edge ST6 is quite robust. I've been using it for quite some time now, loving it. Is it a great improvement over ST5? Absolutely. Of course, you already know us. We're Spatial Integrated Systems. We are your VAR. If we are not your VAR, hopefully we will become your VAR soon.
With SIS, this message is for Todd Ackman. If you could please give me a call back, I'd really appreciate it.
And Chris Cook is multitasking. So, Spatial Integrated Systems, you know our offices. We're all over the East Coast, and we're also located around where the naval installations are. So what's new in ST6? Every single release we have 1,000 or at least 1,000 enhancements. ST6 is no less than any other release. As a matter of fact, what you're going to find out in ST6 is that there were over 500 requests addressed during the part modeling, over 100 requests addressed in assembly design, over 500 requests addressed in drafting, and over 200 requests in general other areas, including simulation and including in our optimization now, optimization being a new word for us ST5, for us Solid Edge guys. So, ST6, what's the theme here? Tools for stylized design. We are opening up areas that we've never had access to before. Specifically, the user interface. We listened to you. The enhancement requests were things like, oh, that steering wheel, boy, it could use another axis. Well, looky there. We've got another axis. Our steering wheel, man, I wish it came in multiple sizes. Solid Edge ST6, yes, you get multiple sizes. What about those colors and those live rules for synchronous? You know, it'd be great if it had some sort of menu system explaining what the colors meant. Voila, in ST6, that's what you've got. So, besides the user interface, we also added extra capability from the assembly level. We kind of teased you in ST5 with the assembly because in ST5 we had the ability to make relationships between parts inside an assembly. In ST6, we actually have the capability of avoiding that whole inter-part copy stuff that really drug down our time frames. We can actually select faces from a part, or I should say, select faces while inside a part from other parts inside an assembly without having to do inter-part copies now. So it's very, very exciting. Not only can we do that from the part, but we can also do it from the assembly level, meaning that we can now create assembly features that are based off of other parts. Quite interesting. Besides the interoperability or ability to grab faces between parts inside an assembly, we've also enhanced other aspects in the part modeling, such as now not only do we recognize holes on part input, and by the way, if any of these topics are coming up and you're thinking, well, I didn't know you could do that, well, maybe it's time to think about doing a little bit of training here. So with that said, if you didn't know that we can recognize holes from an import of a dumb solid, we can, and we can recognize things like counterbores, countersinks, shouldn't say threads. I don't think we've got them there yet, but we can recognize the holes as being holes on the import of a dumb part. But now in ST6, we go one further. We can now recognize patterns. So that's very exciting. I use it all the time now. Besides dealing with the imports of parts, we also now deal inside the surfacing. We've enhanced surfacing. So this is really exciting for me because whenever I do an import of a part, especially from CATIA or from some of those other, not to mention named CADs, they come up with fragmented surfaces. You've seen them. I've seen them. Stuff like, for example, in this little image where it says select, you'll notice that there are 3 distinct surfaces there. We now have tools to help you merge these into one complete surface. Absolutely fantastic. If you ever have to deal with surfaces, this tool is just like a dream. Besides dealing with surfaces, we've kind of added that same technology into our sheet metal. So now we can do embossing. What does that mean for us? It means that stamping sheet metal is just right there at your fingertips. Can we flatten this? No, not really. But now we have the capability of doing contour flanges on top of contour flanges, which can be flattened, which is kind of cool. With that said, what about beads? Beads have been enhanced, or I should say sheet metal has been enhanced so that you can take a sheet metal part and throw a bead on it, and now you can actually bend some deformation parts over bends. It is pretty cool. That way it can give us these stamped sheet metal parts that we've always been wanting to bring into our design. With the aspect of being able to see different faces within the assembly and use those faces for modeling, we now get the ability to do Boolean operations. So, for example, in this graphic right here, we're actually doing a subtract from a tool body so that we can now get exact matches on other parts within an assembly. Very cool. This one, oh man, this is a demo that requires a demonstration all for itself. Simplify assemblies. Everybody's been asking about it. It gives us the ability to take a large amount of parts and replace them with simple bodies for use inside our assemblies. And what this does is that this enhances our assembly model to be able to support up to 1 million parts. Now, have I done 1 million parts? No, I haven't. But I have done like 11,000. So that's pretty darn impressive. This way it enhances your overall assembly performance, and it also provides a model that you can give to your customers without giving away your proprietary information. It's very exciting. Contact me later and I will do this demo for you personally. Besides doing things like assembly design, we've even enhanced our 2D. So for those of you that didn't know it, Solid Edge has a free drafting package. The free drafting package also has block capabilities. That block capabilities opens up Solid Edge to not only just the mechanical side of your engineering department, but also to your electrical and your hydraulic and pneumatic and things of that nature where people have to make diagrams. These schematics have blocks in them. And even though drawing pretty pictures is great, it's even better now that we give you the ability to put in a block table. So now you can have a bill of materials of your blocks so that you can do a block count, just like those guys in AutoCAD can. This one seems to be a very hot one here. Automatic annotation alignment. Match that up with balloon alignment. We have enhanced balloons. I'll demo this one to you. Very exciting on this one. Another one, stuff to look forward to. We've always wanted to use the retrieve dimension command. But that retrieve dimension command, well, let's face it, sometimes it got kind of crowded. And when it got kind of crowded, you found yourself picking and moving those dimensions, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, you know, I could have placed these dimensions, and I might not have wasted as much time. Now inside ST6, we have dimension auto arrange. So now what you have the ability to do is pull up a retrieve dimension like you've always wanted to do and actually have Solid Edge auto arrange your dimensions. It's very, very cool. saves a lot of time. Besides drafting, we've also added enhancements to our assembly, enhancements such as more photorealistic rendering on the screen, the ability to put in things like home, back, and next within our part library buttons. We've also enhanced our frame design, which I plan on showing you in the demo coming up in just a few seconds. Here's one that really gets me excited here, is the ability that we have now to actually roll some deformations. Now I say some, but it's pretty darn impressive. We have also enhanced centerline controls for things like our slots, and also we've enhanced our hole circle command, our bolt hole circle command, and we've even re-enhanced, because last iteration we enhanced the bills of material. We've even re-enhanced the bill of material and tables commands so that they are far more user-friendly. Selection capabilities. Now we have the whole drag to left, drag to right capability, stuff that seems to be more standardized within all different CADs. And if you haven't done it yet, please be sure to go out to the Google Play web store or to the Apple iTunes store and download your free Solid Edge viewer. Now, I will tell you that the current Solid Edge viewer that's available only shows models and assemblies, but starting out with MP1 of Solid Edge ST6, which should be out within a few weeks, we're going to be able to view drafts. Can you imagine the enhancement capability that we're going to have to be able to walk out onto our shop floor with our tablets or with our widescreen phones and look at models and drafts right there while we're on the shop floor without having to lug around a laptop? This is going to be absolutely amazing. If you haven't heard about it yet, we've now even included a YouTube recorder. You might think, how frivolous? But I'll tell you this, as a Solid Edge tech support guy, I have started receiving videos from my customers saying, hey, Cecil, I'm trying to do this, watch. And they make a video and they send me the video. This has actually improved my lifestyle because I'm able to see what you're doing. And in turn, I make videos and send them to my customers saying, hey, you know what? I realize that maybe you have a security clearance that I can't get through, and maybe you're behind a firewall, but I can send you this video. So quite a great enhancement. Simulation, this is something that everybody's been asking for. If you've ever heard me talk about Goal Seek for 2D was kind of cool. However, everybody said, why can't we do it in 3D? Well, guess what? We can now. So this on top of a few other enhancements, a few other big enhancements, for example, Solid Edge SP, or I guess it's called SESP for SharePoint, is actually out, and it's got some graphic capability into our document management that's going to really make you drool. We also have optimization. Now, we're not going to show optimization today, but contact me and we'll run that demo together. It's a longer demo, but wow, having the capability to run simulation, that's FEA, across optimization will really make a dent in your designing and your design time. So I'm going to be really buzzing through a lot of these demos because I really want to get them out, and I have a very limited time frame because I don't want to eat into your day. So first things first, let's reach over here and let's take a look at some of the new enhancements with inside ST6. For example, I want you to see that we now have a new help capability. So you might say, well, what do you mean? What's all this about? Inside our Knowledge Center, we have the capability of jumping in and doing things like Solid Edge Test Drive, the Learning Portal, the Training Library, mind you. Let's switch in here to the Training Library. Oh, you can't see it because it's switching over. All right. Well, it brings up a internet screen that actually brings up our new help, and the new help is fantastic. You'll have to jump in it and see it yourself. Let's open up this guy right here, because I wanted to show you this. If you've ever had a situation where you've had to deal with the live rules, then in live rules, you've said, okay, what does this color mean? Well, now let me show you what it is inside ST6, because this is pretty darn sweet. If I were to click on a face here and start a move, you might think, okay, Cecil, what's the big deal? And then you see this orange stuff. You're thinking, wow, that orange stuff is going to tell you you're about to fail. Well, guess what? As I click on this orange stuff, all of a sudden colors start appearing on my model. This is fantastic, because what this does for me is that this allows me to move over a color and say, hey, that was the select face. This is the error path. This face right here is actually solving, and so on down the line, all the way down to even things like, hey, I see a face that's grounded. This gives you much, much more of an explanation of what's going on inside your model, and makes it much easier to interpret what the best path of solving is. For example, in this case, I see that my dimension down here is in orange, and I know that if I were to click on it right now, it would relax that dimension and allow the actual change to happen. And if I like it, I say great, and now it's fixed. So that in itself is huge. Let me go ahead and kill this guy and move on to the next one. Forgive me, this is going to be pretty rapid fire. Besides dealing with that, I've told you about the YouTube. There's no sense of showing you that. I would like to show you the recognize holes. So, for example, what I'd like to do, I'm going to say, hey, I would like to see this part, and I'm going to open up two different parts at one time, if you don't mind. So I've got this part right here, and this is a typical solid edge piece of sheet metal. Nothing special about it, except it was imported. Notice I have no features whatsoever. And you might think, okay, fine, what about it, Cecil? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, what I'd like to do is I'd like to transform this into sheet metal, and of course it does, and it'll put out all my different flanges. This is what solid edge does. I mean, this is what we're known for. But you'll see that it got all the different flanges in the tab, and that's great. But what about all the holes? There's a lot of holes here. Wouldn't it be cool if you could reach over here and say, hey, recognize all the holes for me too, and it finds all the holes within my model? I'm going to go ahead and say, yep, that's great. So now what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and find all the holes. And then I'm thinking to myself, ooh, you know what? These holes have patterns. Darn, I wish I could do patterns. Well, let's look over here. It's Solid Edge ST6. Do you see what I see? It's recognize hole patterns. So I'm going to click on recognize hole patterns. I'm going to select the entire part, and Solid Edge will examine it and say, hey, you've got patterns. Right-hand click, click OK, and what we're going to see inside my structure is I'm going to see patterns. This is fantastic, because what this allows me to do is that this allows me to double-click on it, and I can instantly start changing out my patterns. This is huge. Big, 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 big time saver. With that said, let's throw him away, and let's look at this guy. This guy, a little bit more graphic. You'll notice that he's circular. So let's go ahead and let's reach in here and say, hey, I'd like to recognize for holes. And sure enough, it finds all the holes. Go ahead and click OK, and it puts all my holes in. Well, what would even be better is if I could reach in here and say, there's bound to be some patterns in here somewhere. Select my model, right-hand click, and say, yep, there sure are. There are 3 different patterns. Isn't that cool? So now, not only do I have holes, but I also have patterns. And if I were to find just one of these holes, I could click on it, and I could say, you know what, let's change this guy. Maybe 4 millimeters diameter of the hole is a little bit much. Maybe that should be 3. and change the size of my counterbore holes. Or, better yet, I could reach in here and change it to something else completely different. In this case, I won't, because we're a little bit low on time. But you can see the power behind the recognition capabilities inside Solid Edge. It's quite a ride. I'm going to right-hand click and get rid of this, or I should say click and get rid of this. And let me show you something I've been dying to show you. This one just really excites me. For example, whenever I go and import in solids from other CAD products, sometimes they come in as surfaces. And when they come in as surfaces, sometimes I get wild and wacky surfaces just like this. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? Wouldn't it be cool if we could reach over into our surfacing and check out a brand new tool called Redefine? With Redefine, I'm able to do things like this. I'm going to select this surface and this surface, and I'm going to tell it, hey, you know what? You really should be one surface. Click on Redefine, and I'm done. That's cool. That's way cool. Because now I can take this guy, who really shouldn't be quilted the same way that he is, and redefine him too. Preview it out, and I'm finished. It's that easy. It's absolutely amazing. From here, you can take these brand new two surfaces that I've got, stitch them together, stitch them over to something else, and make it into a solid. Or you could even reach over here and say, you know what? Let's take that guy right there and let's do a thicken off of both surfaces. Maybe we want it to be about, what do you think, 1/4 of an inch? And now I've got a solid. Okay? That is so cool. So, with that said, let's leave this one. I'm really excited about that one. So, let me reach over here and do a little bit of sheet metal while I still have time here. Let's see. Bent bead. Bent bead is awesome. So as I pull open this piece of sheet metal, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it really doesn't have a lot of strength. Why don't I reach over here and say, you know what, let's unbend this. I want to reach over here and say, I would like to unbend, it's asking me for a flat face. This is my flat face. I want to unbend that, and I want to unbend that. Check it off. Looks normal. Everybody's done this. Maybe what I'll do is I'll throw a sketch in here. I want to grab a line. You know what, let's do it this way. This is kind of cool. I'm going to do something like this. Yeah, that looks cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm just going to get rid of these 2 lines here. I'm going to go ahead and close my sketch out. I've got 2 lines here. Why do I have 2 lines? Because what I'm about to do is I'm about to add in myself in a nice bead. This bead looks cool. So what I want to do is I'm going to say, hey, I'd like to select from sketch. I want to select that one, and I want to select that one. And I'd like for that bead to be pointed down. And sure enough, it throws a bead in there. Everybody's seen these beads. They're pretty darn cool. So with that said, at this point you'd think, well, now you're done for, Cecil. You're in the flat. You're stuck there. Not anymore. I can now hit rebend. And this is so cool. I hope you're seeing this. I've just bent my beads around the surface of this piece of sheet metal. This is opening up a wide range of opportunity for those of you that have to deal with stamped pieces of sheet metal. Absolutely awesome. Let's throw this guy out and open up. Ooh, I would do a roll deformation, but I think we don't have time. But I do want to do a stamp. This is cool. This is new to Solid Edge. Here's a piece of metal. It's a hunk of metal, and it's way too much for us to put into our designs because, wow, that's going to weigh a lot. But it wouldn't if it were stamped, would it? Now, if you didn't know it in ST5, we now can use multiple bodies inside the same part file. If you didn't know it, attend some training. So here we are. I'm going to say add in a body. This is a part. Look at that. It is a part file. I'm going to add a body to it. But in this body, I'm going to add in a piece of sheet metal. Whoa, now this is uncharted territory, right? So I'm going to call this sheet metal body stamped. You know what? I think I need to call it stamped 1 because I think I've added in stamped before. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And look what I've got. I've got tools up here that are sheet metal. So I'm going to say I want a tab. I want to throw that tab on this face. I'm going to use my include a little bit. And I'm going to say, hey, I want to put in an offset. Offset this guy. I'm going to choose a loop and grab. Oh, there it went. There it is. And I want to choose that loop. And I want to make this guy go out about 3/4 of an inch, 0.75 inches. And tell it that I want to go up this way. That looks fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and close my sketch. Now, I'm going to put the material up into the tool body. Why? Because we're going to include them both. So now I've got this flat piece of metal. This flat piece of metal needs to be stamped, right? So this is what I'm going to do. Under my deformation features, I've got something called emboss. This is a brand new tool. It's going to ask me, hey, what's the target body? I want this flat to be my target body. Now it's asking me for a tool body. That means the shape that we want it to acquire. We want it to acquire this shape. Now, I'm going to reach in here into my options and make sure I've got something turned on. Ah, yes, I do. Good. So, once more, here's my tool body. Click it, and as it does its work, that looks cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and check it off. That looks awesome. And what I'm going to do with this, we still have our tool body in there. Let's go ahead and let's take this tool body, which we don't want to be our major solid anymore. And we're going to actually tell him to become a, see if I can make him do that. Maybe my toolbar's in the way. Oh, we can just turn him off. There we go. So what we see here is that we see that we have a stamped piece of sheet metal, which costs us a lot less inside metal usage, and it's going to give us a lot of structural capability. This is awesome stuff. Let me go ahead and throw him out very quickly, and let me take a look at, oh man, what's my time frame looking like? Oof, I got 15 minutes. Boy, I've been running through these things. So what I'd like to do is I would like to show you a little bit of assembly modeling. Not just assembly putting together things, but assembly modeling. So I'm going to say, you know what, I want to go into my assembly, and I've got this really cool handlebar that I want to show you. Oh, he's down inside here. There he is. Go ahead and click OK. Open this fellow up, and there are some parts that I need to make. So as it opens up this guy, I can see that I'm missing a couple of things. Let me go ahead and turn off a few things. I want to create a clamp in this area, and I want to take into mind the design of tools that are already there. For example, these bolts that I want. So I'm going to say, you know what, turn those guys off. And now all I have is this. All right, well, okay. So all of you guys are designers, and you've done this, I know, multiple times, and you've thought, wow, there's got to be an easier way. Create in place. Hold on to your seats, because this is fantastic. I want to click on Create in Place, and we get a new dialog box, something we haven't seen before. And in this dialog box, we say, hey, we want to place the origin by graphic input. You're thinking, oh, great, here come 5 or 6 more clicks. Watch this. I'm going to create in place, and then I'm going to edit it at the same time. We'll go ahead and click OK. Watch my cursor. Do you see what's attached to my cursor? My UCS icon is attached to my cursor. And as I move it across a face, this is fantastic. All I got to do is click and place it. Click, place. With my options turned on, this clamp is going to be grounded, but I could tell it not to be if I wanted to. And I'm going to say, you know what? This looks fantastic. Click OK. And what I need to do is I need to call this guy clamp. Clamp. And it says yes, I do want to overwrite it because I've already made it before. I'm going to say, you know what? I need to make this clamp. Watch what I can do now. I'm going to click on Revolve. You might think, Cecil, we know what Revolve is. But what you haven't seen is this. Now, I'm going to use something called include, or I should say exclude internal face loops. And I'm just going to move over a face. Normally, you would have to do things like an inter-part copy. We don't have to do it anymore. This is so exciting. So I'm going to right-hand click. I want to move over and find the axis. And as I pull it down, I'm just going to drag it down here to a key point. It really can't get much easier than that. This opens up a lot of speed, just a tremendous amount of speed. With that said, I'm going to choose extrude. And I could choose the whole face. You know what? I'll do it this time. Normally I don't do it this way, but I'm going to say only include internal loops. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to click on the same face, and I'm going to click on this face. And I'm going to right-hand click, and it's only, whoops, wrong one. I did it wrong. Extrude, and only internal loops. Let's see if we can get this right. Here and here. Right-hand click. Oh, I want to make sure this is a remove. Right-hand click, and you'll notice what's happening here is that I actually am pulling in a hole. Now, I could do this by edge also, which it looks like I missed my bottom one, so I might have to come back there and add that again. Let's see. Let's see if I can grab it one more time. Extrude, remove, and let's see. And I did choose use only internal loops. I'm going to get this one, and I'm going to get this one. Right-hand click. Yeah, oh, okay. Well, that's okay. So what I'll do for this one is I'll do it again, and I'm going to also do the, not the face, but I'll do a single, and I know that there is a hole right there. And we'll pull him out, and once more, he should be a remove too. Okay, well, with that said, this should be a counterbore hole. This shouldn't be just a through hole. Let's reach over here and let's say, you know what, I need to turn on a certain part. I need to turn on 139, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to turn on this guy, I'm going to turn on this guy, and I can see that there's a bolt in there. Huh. Well, what I need to do is I need to once more make another remove, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a single. I'm going to grab that face, and I'm going to grab the back face, right-hand click, pull it out, and now I've got my counterbore. But that's not cool enough. So what we really need to do is we really need to reach in here and recognize these holes. And it found two holes, despite the fact that they were made using two different feature capabilities, or features. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it now put them into a hole. As you can see where my cursor is, it is designated as a hole. And with it being a hole, I can click on it and say, you know what, this hole right here, he needs to actually be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make him 6.5. Oh, not that one. I want to make the diameter of the counterbore 6. Make the diameter of the counterbore 6.5. So 10.5. Sorry. So now, I hope you saw that, because both holes adjusted. That's cool. From here, I'm going to reach in here and do a quick round. This round, I wonder what size it is. Oh, yeah, it's way too big. So probably about a 0.5 millimeter round on there. And that looks great. And I forgot to do that one, so that looks awesome. And hit close return, because we're done with that little bit. And here, I will turn on, let's see, all parts, so that you can get a good view of that. Whoops, we want to show everything. Show all. And now you can see that everything looks great. Now, with that said, I have some other modeling that has to be done. That was awesome to be able to do that. But what about this? You see this big piece of hunk of metal standing out? Boy, it really is, it's a little bit of a danger. I'm going to double click into this guy, do a little bit of an edit, and I am editing in place. Now you might think, oh, Cecil, we've done this before, but you've not done this. I'm going to reach under surface, and you might think, well, oh, he's going to do a replace face. I am. However, in order to do a replace face from another part in another assembly, you had to do an inter-part copy. or even a part copy. But we don't have to do that anymore. So with our new replace face capabilities, I can replace this face with this face. A part that does not even belong, or I should say a surface that does not even belong to the part that we're working on. That's tremendous. So once more, do a little bit of round on this, 1/2 mil, looks great. All right, so from there, what else can I do? Well, I made mention to you the ability to actually use parts. I do want to hide a couple of guys. You don't need to see these guys right now. Hide these guys. And what I want to do is I want to take a look at this fellow. This fellow right here, he's currently mated. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump him out about 30 mils, knock him out a little bit. I want you to take a look at the groove down here. Do you see that? Do you see that groove there? Well, guess what? Up top, there's no groove. So, boy, that's going to take me, what, a whole lunch hour in order to do that groove. Or maybe not. Let's take this fellow right here and let's put him back together, because I know that you've all wanted to do this. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if you could reach in here and say, hey, let's take this part. I want to go into tooling. There we go. Let's take this part and let's do something like this. Under my surfacing. Actually, I think I can do it from here. Features, subtract. I'm in the, let me explain this. I am in the assembly. I am not inside a part. Wouldn't it be cool if I could hit subtract and say, hey, I would like to take the design from here and place it into here. So this is going to be my target, and this is going to be my tool. Check it off. And now let me show you what it's done. I'm going to take this guy right here and do a little bit of a show only. And as I take this guy and turn him around, what do you see? We now see that we've created a groove. That's spectacular. So what that means for us, what that means is that not only can we use other tools, but we can also, or other tools in order to design our parts, or other parts to be our tools. But we can reuse tools to be in a parts library, much like a stamping if we desired. So in order to save time, because I'm really running out of time, I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this demo, and I do want to show you a couple of pieces of draft. Let me reach out here and say, hey, these new draft commands. I've got some stuff here that you guys have been asking for. Specifically in the bills of material and the balloons. Solid Edge has made big strides when it comes to adding balloons to bills of materials, because oftentimes our competitors show off their balloon capabilities and their abilities to make their balloons wrap around their views. Well, we now have that in spades. So in this instance, let's just cut to the chase. I'm going to do a quick parts list off of this fellow. As I click on him, he's going to come up and give me a parts list. No big deal. We've done this before. As I click and place the parts list itself, look at my balloons. I didn't make that shape. It made that shape. Inside the options for placing this parts list is the capability to make your bounding box be rectangular, make it be circular, make it adhere to the shape of the assembly that you're dealing with. And sure enough, that's what it did. Now, let me show you a couple of specialties about this. Every balloon is intelligent. It's intelligent enough that if I were to hit one or hit another one, they act like pool balls, if you would ask me. I could also do things like, oh goodness, I can move my balloons off of this and maybe grab up a series of these balloons and maybe do things like annotation alignment shape. And I can say, you know what, I'd like to draw a line that goes from here. Notice as I move over it, they start attaching to this line. So now you can add in multiple alignments, which is darn cool. As I were to right-hand click on one of these guys, we do have the same capabilities that we did in the past of saying, you know what, maybe I want to change this stuff out, and they will, of course, all automatically update. Let's move from here. I want to show you this. This is what you would typically get whenever you get a retrieved dimension. This is going to go by quick. So, hold on. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if I can take a retrieved dimension and just click on a view and get stuff like this? That is absolutely amazing. Now, within our options, we can set the stack pitch, so don't worry about that. You can have control over how much you want it to do. Maybe what I want to do is instead of clicking on it, maybe I want to entirely select it. I can't get that. There we go. So in this case, I'm going to just reach out like here, check on it, and sure enough, it auto arranges. Or I might even say, you know what, I don't want all the dimensions, I just want a few dimensions. I'll just grab these guys, or better yet, let's go this way. Let's try that again. There we go. Click on dimensions. All right, well, fine. I guess I will. Check on these guys, push them out. And sure enough, it changes out my dimensions so that they look much nicer. So, dimension alignment, fantastic. Take a look at this, though. Hey, look, my views aren't aligned. Oh, man, I hate it when that happens. But wouldn't it be kind of cool if we could right-hand click on a view and say, hey, I would like to create an alignment. You might say, Cecil, we've seen this before. Not like this, because now I can choose key points, drawing view centers, or by key points. And I can say, hey, this key point to this key point. Whoops, let's undo that. I can do it again. There we go. So, once more, let's try this one more time. Right-hand click, create an alignment, and let's see, click on the alignment drawing view. I've already done that. And I don't want view centers, but I want my key points, and I want this key point to that key point. And now they should be aligned. So as I grab my view, which I'm having a little difficulty grabbing, here it goes. Oh, I actually got them touching. Anyway, point being is that now we can align by key points, and which is kind of cool. I messed it up, but it works. So from here, I want to do this. I want to reach over here and look at blocks. Blocks inside a 2D drawing, necessary within schematics. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if we could add in a parts list for this and say, hey, I would like to put in a parts list. Click on a drawing view. Oh, wrong parts list. I need a blocks list. So, blocks list, it highlights all the different blocks and it allows me to click on it and place a block list, which in and of itself is quite cool. Because now we get our quantities, and if you happen to have properties into the blocks, things that are cool about that is that we can go into the properties of your individual blocks, and now they're pulled out so that you can use them as columns if you desire to have them. So, for example, if I had placed some amperage on here, I might add that as a column and click OK. I think I only put in 1, and sure enough, I only put in 1, and it's got 10 amps on this. But on this other one, maybe it should have been 5, because it says it's 5, right? So wouldn't it be kind of cool now, because this is an enhancement, if I could double-click into the table itself and be able to say, hey, I want to override. And I want to override the cell and say, there we go, and say 5. So now I've went in and I've edited my table, and it looks far more user-friendly. For example, if I were to double-click, now we don't have to deal with those red dots. We can actually do just like Microsoft Excel and squish and stretch exactly how we want it to be. Very cool stuff. It is 2 o'clock. I did want to show you 2 quick things, and if I could impose on you, I think you would enjoy this. I'm going to close this guy out because I know that you want to see frames. And this guy does go quick. So what I want to do is I want to say, hey, I want to create a new assembly, ANSI assembly. And for those of you that are in the racing enjoyment, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you could reach into our parts library, and by the way, check this guy out right here. This says return to home, and it will pull you back to whatever directory that you were in. And I want to find, in my quick looks, I want to pull in a frame solid. This is new inside ST6. Do you see this? This is nothing more than a solid. Nothing more than a solid. I used my synchronous in order to make the shape, but this is where the coolness comes into play. Tools, frames, create myself a frame. Definitely want it mitered, and I want to browse for a component. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to use 1-inch round tubing, and I'm going to say, forget trying to draw all those silly sketches. Why not make a solid? And as I click on solid and check it off, check it out. I hope you can see this, because this is fantastic. I just made a frame based off the edges of the solid. That, my friends, is amazing. From there, I could turn off the solid itself, and I could see just my frame. Maybe I'd make it some sort of construction, but this is cool. And if you were to change the frame itself, close out my frame, and reach back over here to home and say, hey, face select, grab this guy right here and start pulling, because he's a solid that has to adhere to my synchronous rules. Check it off, and what you'll see is that my frame updates to my new solid, which is darn cool. Go ahead and throw him away. The last thing I did want to show, I don't know that I have a whole lot of time for, but it does go, let's see, it's 2:04. I think I can impose 2 more minutes on you. If I were to look under my quick looks again, I have something here called goal seek for sync models. And inside here, I want to show you this. I'm looking for an assembly file. This assembly file is sitting right here. Let's not open him up. You're thinking, wow, Cecil, what are you going to do with this? GoalSeek was an awesome tool in the 2D capability, but now that we've opened it up for 3D, this is quite a game changer. Whenever you're trying to do all those hand calcs, those iterative hand calcs, trying to determine a specific volume or a specific mass or a specific position, you really wish that the computer would do those iterations for you. And now we can do that. So it's almost loaded here, and like I said, it doesn't go. This won't take too long to show, and this will be my last one. So as it comes in, it's quite a big model. That's a decently big model. I do want to show you this. I want to say, hey, I'd like to add in a PMI dimension here. Just a neat little PMI dimension, no big deal about it. And I'm going to put this PMI from right here at this edge to the edge of a fluid. I hope you can see that. There's fluid in that tank. So as I pull him out, whoops, I got him going the wrong direction. Maybe I'll pull him this way. There we go. He is not a driving dimension. He is nothing more than just for show so that you can see the volume going up and going down. Under my inspect, actually I need to double click into this last assembly. So as I pull into my last assembly, there it is. I'm going to do a quick edit definition on this, and let's see if we can do this right. I don't want to. Oh, edit in place. Sorry. So now as I do an edit in place, and I did want to show all my different parts in here. There's everything else. What I want to do is I want to use goal seek because I have a certain weight limit that can be pulled on this trailer, and it's approximately 4,200 pounds. If I were to go under inspect at this moment and check out my properties for this tank, at the tank level, I'm sitting here at 3,600 and, I said pounds, I should have said kilograms. And if I were to look at the update on this, just click on update, and then, yep, that's already updated. But wouldn't it be cool if I could say, I want to add in some more. So what I want to do is I want to say, hey, I'm going to choose goal seek. With goal seek, now all of our physical properties are included inside our variable tables. This opens up a lot more doors than goal seek. But in this case, I just wanted to use mass, and my target is not 3,450, but instead I'd really like to use something like 3,600 kilograms. And I want to change the variable called total mass. And this is something that you'll set up. Now, as I click on this, watch the fluid. It's a little bit slower on this larger assembly, but I think you can appreciate it. It's actually going through and it's making iterations. If you can see it barely happening, look at the dimension. It's changing. And as the dimension changes, and it makes all the different iterations trying to figure out exactly, what the shape it's got to be. It'll be done in just a few more seconds. It goes a little bit quicker when it's on your desktop. What we're going to see is that we're going to see the total volume actually update. And sure enough, it did. So that was awesome in that it put in the volume in there, and I'm going to go ahead and check it off. That looks great. Oh, darn it. The checkbox reiterates it. So unfortunately, I think I can just press escape. Yeah, there we go. So now that I've done that, I want to hit a close and return. And with the new volume, I can now check the properties on this, and I can say, hey, let's update that across the entire assembly, and I can see whether or not I went over. And no, I did not go over 4,200 kilograms. I am about 53 kilograms short of my limit, which is fantastic. That is going to put you guys into a whole new exploratory realm of design. Mike, with that said, I'm going to hand this back to you, and I don't know how much you've told them about the various different sales tools, or I should say sales promos going on, but
well, and certainly because we are short on time, Cecil, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for your patience and hanging around. We do have a buy one, get one free special going on with Salad Edge. Currently, there's 1 week left for that, so please contact me, Mike Grant, as soon as possible, and I will fill you in on the details. And I wanted to thank everybody for being here, and Cecil for putting on a great presentation. And of course, any questions that you have that were not answered or something you would like to see, give me a call or email me, and we'll make sure we get that covered.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.